If there's one component that you're not understanding, let's say multiplication, you don't have to be classified as a Title I student, but we can give those services to you, remediation tutoring, to bolster you as you're going through that process for math. The other children that if we still, as we see you going through, as we do that weekly and monthly monitoring process, if we see them still having trouble and, we've gone to a Tier 2 intervention, and they're not gaining growth, then we'll take a look, pull in parents and that, and then we go to a Tier 3 intervention, which can be more intense. And there's different styles and different theories that you use with that. That goes through with that child. Now you may have some that are Title I in reading, but not Title I in math. So it goes back and forth. So we used to do K through 4, now we're going to go K through 5 since we've gone with the new grade concept, so we're doing that. So that was submitted last week to the state. They got a notice that they've received it, and they're looking at that. I was already in touch with Maria Garcia, who's our regional coordinator, and she said, preliminary, everything looks really good with that stuff. So we had to sit down and come up with a whole plan, how we address it with the assessments, with the benchmarks. We already started with what we call letters training with our elementary teachers for reading, because we felt there was, when you're coming out of the colleges, there's not necessarily a strict preparation for reading with comprehension and all that other word knowledge and different things of that component. So we've started that. We then also this summer, we brought in another 13 teachers, K through 2. So that our goal is to have the majority of K through 2 teachers trained this year in letters, and then next year we're going to be starting with our 3 through 5. So that within, say, 2 years, our goal is that we have all K through 5 teachers with a solid foundation and background of letters, which is with reading and the practice of teaching. We're also in the process of going through getting our teachers trained this year towards the end with step-by-step, which teach me how to read at home, which is, again, a research-based program, which the teachers will then be trained, but then they'll take that out. We'll start in the evening, we'll have programs for parents to come in, that they can sit down with the teachers, and we help them teach the kids how to read at home. And, see if they are picking up any weaknesses or anything of that nature. So those are the main things. It's really, a lot of people when they first hear of titles, they think, again, it's like the financially stressed child. It's not. It's a child, your income is based upon that, but the services are based upon each individual child's needs, whether it's English.
What do you mean your income is based on it?
The amount we get for our grant is derived from the free and reduced lunches, but the services are not.
So we get a bucket of money from
Yes.
this organization because of how many kids we have on the free and reduced lunches.
Right.
And then that money can be allocated to any individual.
Yes.
Regardless of their
needs.
financials, depends on their need.
Right.
And then they can go from there as far as whether or not they need it.
Right.
Now, what happens when you run out of that funding?
Then,
General fund it?
yes, the district has been, very good with that.
Right, and on the other side, what happens if you don't find a place to use the money? Do you give it back to the state?
Yeah, but we've never experienced that, because I'll be honest with you, we right now, we have 4 reading specialists, 2 math specialists, 2 MTS teachers, we have 6 paraprofessionals that we use. So between salaries and benefits and supplies, and then I'm also mandated, since we have over $500,000, I have to do a 1% set aside for, and that's part of this policy with the parent, professional development, but also parent, teacher, I should say, family and engagement, family-parent engagement. That's the whole big thing now with ESSA. They want more parent and family engagement. So that's all part of it.
So you're saying these are kids that need extra tutoring, which means they're in their classroom, they're falling behind, the teacher recognizes that they're falling behind, so that they can then pull them over to this other side stream and get them the attention they need to catch them up to the rest of the class.
Right. And depending upon their needs, we can do like what was a pull-out, like you said, they'll pull the child or a group of kids, small group, or they can go in if they're like, like what we call submersion, where the para may go right in with the group, and as we do groups like with math or reading in the group centers, the para may come in and say, okay, here's 3 or 4 kids, they need phonemic awareness. So they'll go over and work on that, while the other group is working maybe on comprehension.
And then when we did our new schedule at the elementary and middle school, we had a designated win time. We call it win, what I need. So the students are not missing any of the regular, instruction. All the kids are in that program at one time. Now, they may, with the 3 or 4 different tiers, each tier is different, but every student at that time is in that win period. So it's not like the teacher's moving ahead and going farther ahead in math.
While they're being tutored.
Yeah,
Correct.
so it's the
But at the same time, they're being pulled aside, individual training, by an individual that knows how to train them for their specialty. Is that information making it back to the original teacher so that they can adjust how they're teaching to get less people in
Yes.
this
We
system?
have
Because
monthly
you're pulling them aside.
MTS meetings we have where they're actually sitting there, they're going over things, and they have those
And
discussions.
they have their great meetings in the morning,
Yeah.
where they'll come through and say, okay, Tim is still, he's having a problem with fractions, we're needing here. And then depending upon, and I'll just throw this out, this isn't a fact, but like, say tier 2, maybe you're getting an additional 30 minutes a day of intervention above your normal instruction time. If you go to a tier 3, then you may be going to 45 minutes or an hour above your normal instruction time. So again, it's
And
what
that
they
gets
call-
pulled out of what class then? It just gets pulled out of, or is it after school, or what are they doing?
Well, now we're gonna be able to do some of this stuff after school. What they do is sometimes they'll take a look, like with the wind time, they'll go into there. If they get into, we don't try, like, definitely wanna get like with the PE and different things of that nature. That's when sometimes they'll sit down and talk to the parents and say, hey, we're looking at the schedule here. How can we accommodate? What do you wanna, like, what can we pull them out of? Or that they omit for a little bit. Again, what we're only looking at is the maximum we try to go through this. It's a 2 to 3 week window to see if they're making progress. Because if they're starting to make progress, then we try to get them back, pull them back into that regular classroom, and then we'll call it like a supplemental support, so that maybe every other day or once a week, Tim would come in and check on Mr. Bradley, say, hey, how are things going for you? Do you have your word bank? Do you have this? Do you have that? Is your notebook organized? Just some simple things of that nature. And then, they go through, and that's the whole process, is to try to get them back up to speed as soon as possible so they're not staying in that class. And then we have kids that all the time that some are coming in, some are going out. That as they work through with it. And the past couple of years where we've been really going through with the letters and more with the interventions, and having that structured, okay, based upon your need, what intervention do you see? And again, it's a team approach where the school psychologist sits in, the counselors sit in, the team leader, the core teachers for that whole grade. So all of grade 3, all the teachers will sit in, and then we'll discuss and go through and say, okay, what's with this child, what's with that child? Are you seeing, are things at home affecting this? Is there anything else? The school nurse, has there been an absentee problem, different things of that nature. So this policy, what they're really trying to do is with ESSA, since that's the new No Child Left Behind, they had to adapt this to really go heavy with parent and family engagement. So you would see that as you're going through from the old policy from 2009 to the new one that PSBA is recommending. That has everything covered with PTOs, with PTAs, with parent involvement, community involvement. For example, this year, we should have notification by our October. We always have to do like a big parent-family engagement. We do one in the fall, one in the spring. And this year, what we're going to be doing, we always have to be careful, and the district was always good about that because we wanted to invite everybody, but if you did, you couldn't use your Title I funds. Because then you were spending that on another child, that was a violation of the grant, which they could then pull your funding, which is ridiculous. But anyway, now what we're going to be doing the Sousa Palooza, which got canceled from last year with the weather, we're gonna do that, because we had over 400 people signed up for that to come to it. So we're looking to do that down at the new elementary center. I don't know if the gym will be finished by then, but if not, we're looking to go into the cafeteria, the hallways, and that'll all be set up with all the different stations. But now, we can do that for all the kids. So, and that's what we were gonna do in the spring of the year, and we had a much greater involvement and parent participation and sign up for that, because we weren't saying it's just title. So now, what I can do when we have that, I can present it, I can tell them the Title I services, what's available, what's not available, you know, here's what's to do. If you suspect something at home and you see your child is floundering or they're just not getting something with diction of words or whatever, you can go to your teacher, you can come to the counselor, you can say, hey, look, I think we need to have something and, you know, get them tested or whatever. And then that's when we go through and we can start that process to see, it's before you go in and say it's a special needs student. So you do the different things with that. So that's the whole, in a nutshell.
And one of the things we're really trying to do is get as much parent involvement as possible, because like it's very difficult sometimes to get, you know, parents that come out and, you know, do different things. So we're trying to make it as easy for them to, and interesting too as well. And when they're here, what we'll do is take time to talk to them about things that they could do at home with their kids. For example, this summer we had summer reading, and also we had a summer math calendar where the kids every, you know, had a calendar, and every, you know, so many days they had like a math problem they were to do, and we had a great return of the summer math calendar. So we're really trying to get involved with the parents as much as we can, and try and get them to, you know, help us understand that they play an important role in this too, you know, making sure their kids are reading, you know, taking time really away from cell phones and video games, and sitting down and opening up a book and reading or talking and learning math. And also, with the new math programs that we have, it gives us an opportunity to talk to the parents about it, because the way I did math is totally different, you know, than the way we're doing math now, with the everyday math and the envisions and what have you. So the whole math process and how to show work and how to put your explanations down on paper gives us an opportunity to talk to them and almost do like a mini professional development for the parents of some of the things that they can do to help.
When you had the Susapalooza that had 400 kids, you said 400 people or 400 kids?
No, there was like signed up, well, we had, I would say more like with the parents between, because we were doing it for all 4 buildings.